Calling All Authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook, but it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
And welcome to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am an audiobook coach and producer. I specialize in helping nonfiction authors mainly, fiction authors too, but mainly nonfiction authors narrate their own audiobook. If you're a nonfiction author, if you've written a memoir especially, you do need to narrate your own audiobook. And again, I say this all the time. I'm a big advocate and proponent that all nonfiction authors do need to narrate their own audiobook in their own voice. It's your story. You lived it. You've breathed it. You've experienced it. It's your experience. And that's what you're sharing, that you were so compelled to write and let the world hear your story, or at least read your story. But now when you turn it into an audiobook, you should be the one telling your story so they can hear you from the source tell what a great story that you have, because content is king. And as an author, I know I hear a lot about people worrying whether they have the voice to do it or they have the skills to be able to do it. And the answer is yes, you do have it. You do have it. So today's topic, we are going to talk about audiobook growth, because that is super important to be aware of the growth of the market and just things that you can do to grow your author brand, especially with your audiobook. So I call this episode today, Audiobook Growth. Are you in? Are you? I hope so. I hope so. So we've got a lot of things that I want to share with you. But first, before we jump in, a couple of things. First of all, I always love giving you some freebies, and I have an audiobook narration reference guide that I'd love to have you download. It's a free download, PDF download that has all sorts of tools and techniques and things that can help you do a great narration. Because if you're narrating your own audiobook, you want some good tools and techniques to help you do it to the best possible ability that you can. And in this download, you have things that have to do with the practical aspects of narrating your audiobook and other ways to bring out the emotion and your authenticity. So grab a copy of that. There is a graphic on the screen for those of you who are seeing the broadcast here. As we are, by the way, broadcasting live on the Bold Brave TV YouTube channel. There's a phone number up on the screen if you want to call in. If you have any questions about the audiobook world, by all means, please do so, or comment as well. But that link, by the way, is a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/narration reference guide. So pick up your guide, bit.ly narration reference guide. All right, the other thing, and I usually save this for later, but I'm just going to tell you now, if you are an author that is just considering or want more information or just even understand the process of what it takes to narrate your own audiobook, get in touch with me. All right, as an audiobook coach and producer, that's what I do. I help authors narrate their own audiobook and take them through my audiobook coaching program. And it is designed for 6 weeks for those of you who are very focused and dedicated. I can get it done in that time, but I will work with you. My guarantee is I will work with you until your audiobook is done, finished, and published. All right, so the first step, of course, is to book a call, because I talk to everybody, every author that's interested in finding out more about doing an audiobook, finding out more about the program that I teach. I talk to you directly. We have a quick little Zoom meeting, and because it's important to establish a relationship, a business relationship. Your business as an author, my business as an audiobook coach, got to make sure we resonate with each other, because we're going to be working with each other. I don't believe in what most people who are audiobook coaches, or not coaches, but just audiobook producers, and people who say, oh yeah, I'll help you make your audiobook, and they send you to their landing page, and there's no personal interaction. They just tell you, scroll down to my page and give me your credit card, and that's that. And oh, here's some testimonials. Not good enough. You got to talk with the person that you're going to be working with, because again, you're going to be working with that person, so you want to make sure you resonate with them. But again, book a call. There's again another graphic on the screen that you can see the link there. and schedule a call with me. That's the first step, and we will talk one-on-one to find out more about your book, your audiobook, what you want to do with it, marketing strategies, and plus I want to find out more about you as an author and as a person. So go ahead and book that call. The link is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding, bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Okay. And there you go. Oh, and you can always go to robertlanecoaching.com. That's my website. It has everything up there as well. So I wanted to get some of the little technical business things out of the way as we jump into our topic of audiobook growth. Are you in? I hope so. The first thing I want to share with you in regards to growth is really understanding the growth of the audiobook market. It's been growing and expanding over the past several years. And there's some interesting stats that are out there that maybe you're not familiar with. So I wanted to share that with you because that is part of understanding audiobook growth and how you can apply it to you as an author. You are a brand. Your author brand is your brand. That is your business. You are an entrepreneur because you've written a book, you've published a book. So embrace entrepreneurship. Again, I say this, it doesn't matter whether you've written your book on nights and weekends because you have a day job, or if you're lucky enough to be able to write professionally and make a living at it, which is pretty awesome. If you can do that, that is awesome. But most of us as writers, me included, I self-published, but I enjoyed doing it and I love the process and glad I've done it. Maybe I'll write another book. We'll see. But the audiobook world is growing and expanding, which is, of course, after I published my ebook and paperback, I definitely was going to turn it into an audiobook, which I did. And you should too, in your own voice. That's the key, in your own voice. All right. So I want to share with you some audiobook stats that maybe you're not familiar with, but just good information to know. All right. So first of all, revenue, sales, right? Sales and revenue has increased. Oh, geez, it has increased. Well, I would say over 50%. It's increased over 50% in regards to revenue from audiobooks over the past 5 years, easily. So what does that tell you? The audiobook is growing and expanding and continues to do so. There's also another statistic that by the year 2020 or 2032, right? We're not that far away, actually. It's only a few years away, but they're looking at a projection that the audiobook industry is going to hit a revenue of $39.1 billion. And that's a global number, but still, that is a huge, huge number. And again, as I mentioned, the audiobook world continues to grow and expand. It's really a great thing that you need to be part of, which is why it's so important to have an audiobook as part of your arsenal of product that you offer as an author, right? Ebook, paperback, hardcover, audiobook. You got to have those, okay? Annual growth rate, by the way, has been pretty steady at roughly 26.4% growth annually over the last several years. So again, that's another indication about the audiobook world continuing to grow and expand as more and more people are listening to audiobooks, and more people actually go to the platforms, the distribution platforms, mainly Audible as being one of the most popular. They go to Amazon, so Audible, Amazon, and Apple. I call it the AAA. You got to have your audiobook on at least those three distribution platforms because, again, the general public mainly goes there. And they also use brand names in asking for audiobooks. It used to be where people would say, hey, do you have an audiobook? But now it's like, hey, man, are you on Audible? So they're using it by brand name, which is another reason why you should have your book in audiobook form and being on those distribution platforms. All right. And the other great thing is this. Here's another statistic that really should hit home for you as an author and your author brand and why you need an audiobook. And that is 83% of the population is listening to audiobooks. 83% of the population. And I can't even tell you how many people go to audiobooks first before they go to the other formats that you may offer as an author. It's pretty amazing. Another statistic is that in the United States, about 79%, over 79%, 79.18, almost 79.2% roughly, they listen to audiobooks, right? Now, the 83% of the population, we're looking more from the global aspect, but 79.18% of that is audiobook listeners in the United States. And in Europe, we're looking roughly at about 16.71%, roughly. And that number actually may be higher. But again, the point is the industry, that business, that whole market has been growing and expanding, and you've got to be on it. So, audiobook growth. Are you in? Are you in? You got to do it. You got to do it. Now, again, if you're writing a memoir, if you're telling a personal story, and I would say most of the authors that have gone through my audiobook coaching program that I've helped have written personal stories, have written memoirs. And then probably second have been authors who are coaches or educators or entrepreneurs who have written a book and giving their insight on how to do certain things specific to their field of study, whether they're weight loss coaches or career coaches or relationship coaches, financial coaches, you name it. But they're telling their story, and they've written their book to talk about their coaching program. And now they are narrating it, of course, as they should, because again, think about it. If it's a program that you've created, why in the world would you have somebody else narrate your program, teach your program? It's not, it's, and you know this. Here's the thing. When you present yourself, especially if you're a coach or an entrepreneur and you have some kind of coaching program, people go to you because they resonate with you. I've used this example before on previous podcasts where you have two coaches, Coach A and Coach B, and they're both equally qualified. They both teach pretty much the same concepts. But why does one client go to one coach versus a client going to the other coach? It's because of who they are. It's because of their personality. It's because of how they teach, of how they relate to their clients. All right. I mean, it's true. If you try to please everybody, you're not going to please anybody. And there is definitely truth to that statement. But by being your true, authentic self, you're going to draw the people that resonate with you. And those are the people that you want to work with, especially if you're a coach. If, as an author, your unique style of writing, the way you express yourself, remember your author brand is everything that encompasses who you are, right? Everything, your personality, your sense of humor, the way you were brought up, your belief systems, your habits, all of that stuff. That's what makes you, you. And because of that, that's what allows you to be such a unique individual. And being that unique individual is what allows you to stand out in the crowd. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to stand out in the crowd so that people can know that, oh, yeah, that's such and such author. Yeah, I recognize their style of writing. Right? It's like, again, a band or a musician. If you, music is a great analogy when it comes to authors and music, because think about it. When you hear your favorite vocalist or a band that you love, once that guitar player hits that note, it could be a single note, and you're like, I know who that is. Or you hear that vocal, I know who that is, because they're being the true, authentic self. And by being your true, authentic self, that's, again, what allows you to stand out in the crowd, and people will recognize that. So again, narrating your own audiobook allows you to do that, to bring your true, authentic self to life. And speaking of bringing to life, what you're doing when you're narrating your own audiobook is you're bringing your book to life in your own voice. You're telling your story first person, right? It's coming from the source. You're hearing the story. Your listener is going to be hearing the story firsthand. That's the best way. That's the best way to hear it. Later on, I am going to talk about some things that can hurt your author brand and your growth by doing some things that can ultimately cheapen your author brand. We'll dive into that in just a little bit. But I want to share with you some other stats, and also just got a lot of information that will help you grow your audiobook business, and maybe some ideas about marketing as well. So we're going to dive into that when we come back. We got to take a first break here. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Again, if you want to get involved, there's a phone number up on the screen, or you can make some comments if you have any questions. Would love to help answer them for you. Or maybe you want to share about what your book is about. Love to hear it. All right? Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
We're back live here, streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Robert A. Lane, an audiobook coach and producer, helping nonfiction authors mainly. If you're a fiction author, I will help you too. It depends on how your story is written. If it's done in more of a narrative format, then you should definitely narrate your own audiobook for sure as a fiction author. But I do work a lot of nonfiction authors. And really, you know what, if you published a book, if you just published a book, turn it into an audiobook. Now's a great time to jump on the excitement of your new book launch. But if you've published a book and maybe it's a few years old, you can resurrect it back to life. Do a whole relaunch. It's a great marketing tool, really, when you do your audiobook and then you relaunch your book and you're putting it out there in the forefront for people to, again, rediscover you. And what's really important is that there's a whole world of people who only go to audiobooks, and they will discover you once you do that. They may not know you even exist, even though you've had a book that's been out there in the other formats that you have it in now. But the audiobook can really boost exposure and even help with revenue. So again, I'd love to help you out with my audiobook coaching program, where I provide you with the professional equipment you need to record, and I teach you how to set up your own recording space, show you how to set up being published in Audible, Amazon, and Apple. We talk about file management and all, everything that you need in the setup and preparation phase. And then we do a deep dive together with 30 plus years experience in the entertainment industry. It's what I used to do before I started doing coaching, and also 25 plus years as an audio editor. You're getting this huge background that I am there to give to you as I walk with you every step of the way through the entire process of creating your audiobook. And we do a lot of coaching together, how to do a great narration, how to be authentic and conversational and compelling and engaging, all those things that you need to have a fantastic audiobook. And the other part of the process is that your audio needs to be edited and cleaned up and has to meet the exact specifications for publication. Because if it doesn't, you're going to get rejected. We don't want that to happen. So I do all the editing for you. I upload your audiobook for publication to guarantee that there are no issues. If there ever are, I know what they are. I can make adjustments, re-output a fresh file, remaster a fresh file for you, and you're guaranteed to be published. Now, the program is designed to be done in 6 weeks, but if it takes a little longer, that's okay, as long as you're doing the work. I'm there with you every step of the way. I want to make sure that your audiobook is published. And then, hey, when your audiobook is published, I'm going to bring you on this podcast so that you can promote it. Get you some promotion out there as well. So that's what I do. Book a call with me. That is the first step, always, because I want to be able to have a conversation with you so we can talk and establish a good relationship. I want you to resonate with me just as much as I want to resonate with you. And if it's a good working business relationship, get enrolled. Let's get the ball rolling. All right. It's a great business decision. So go ahead and book your call. That is my personal calendar. That's the link you see on the screen. And again, the link is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. So book your call. All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Now, something that to be aware of, some more stats that I want to share with you, because this is all part of audiobook growth. I was talking to somebody, a few authors actually, and there was a little bit of frustration with some of the authors that I was talking with. And they're like, oh, I got my ebook and I got my paperback and I even have my hardcover, and it just doesn't seem to be really selling as much as I want it to. It's just, man, people are just going out and doing audiobooks, man. They don't even sit down and read a book. So don't look at that as a negative. You got to look at that as a positive, really. People live busy lives, all right? We are busy. We just are. Even people who may not be busy are still busy. So they're listening to audiobooks when they can. So they might not have that nice chunk of time where they can kick back in their favorite, chair at home, or maybe hang out at a coffee house, or just somewhere relaxing, maybe up in nature. Because I do that. I'll go up. Living here in Sedona, Arizona, we got the Red Rocks. I'll go to my secret spots and just chill out and read a book. Love it. Or even listening to an audiobook. It's great to do that when you have this great view of nature. Yeah, that's my happy place. But but people do that, and look at it as a positive. If someone is buying an audiobook and listening to an audiobook, that's great, all right? Because they're going to discover you, number one, as an author. The second thing is that if they like what you're saying and they really enjoy your content, they are more likely to be purchasing the other formats of your book. So that's more revenue right there, all right? So let me just share with you some stats about where people are listening. Where are they listening to audiobooks, okay? Where are they listening? Well, I'll tell you this, 73% of the population, when they're listening to audiobooks, and you could probably guess that. Probably. It's on their commute, driving to and from work. Basically, when you're in your car, when you're taking road trips, if you're traveling, whatever it is, people are listening, right, on your commute. Even if you're flying, right, you get on that plane and you got a 4 or 5 hour flight, man, it's a great time to chill out and listen to a great audiobook. And that's what people do. So again, 73% is just on daily commutes or even with other traveling, whether for business or for personal. Here's another interesting stat, and I hear this a lot too. The statistic says about 33% of people who listen to audiobooks are just doing housework. They're doing things around the house, cleaning up, vacuuming, organizing things, maybe cleaning their office, doing yard work. That's a great thing to do when you're outside and you're well, maybe you don't enjoy pulling weeds, but some people like gardening, So, but the point is that they're out there outside enjoying nature, listening to their audiobook and doing some work around the house. So that's about 33%. Now, of course, there's about 25% of the population that takes their audiobooks to the gym. When you're working out, you're bulking up your body and you're bulking up your mind, right, by listening to an audiobook. Or you go for a run, or you do maybe evening walks or morning walks, or you're out there walking the dog, you're listening to your audiobooks. There's about 25% of people who are doing that. And again, these percentages are growing, all right? They are going up. So, but this is a rough estimate about what the percentages are, at least at this stage right now. This is something interesting, is that there's about 15% of people who actually listen to audiobooks when they're in their office, when they're doing work. And I thought about that. It's like, well, how could you like split brain to be listening to an audiobook, especially if you have to focus on something that needs your attention? Because I'm not a fan of multitasking. Matter of fact, I will give you a stat, and I stand by it 100%, and that is there is no such thing as multitasking. The brain doesn't work like that. I could get into a whole discussion about what actually happens and what the misconception is about multitasking, because you are really only working on one thing at a time and just switching back and forth. You're not really doing a million things at once. But that's a whole other discussion for another time. But the point is that there are people who actually listen to audiobooks while they're working. Maybe the job that they're doing doesn't require, intense mental concentration. I mean, if I worked at a supermarket, for example, and I'm working in the produce department, and I'm getting all the produce set up and just filling up shelves and doing that kind of thing. Sure. Yeah, I'd love to listen to an audiobook while I'm doing that. Um, there's another interesting thing is that not only are people who are working, people who shop, people who go out shopping, whether it's at food stores or you're going to, a department store or wherever, people listen to audiobooks there. Now the percentages I think they're roughly about 5% of people that do that. It may be higher, but roughly about 5. But, that's okay because you're doing your thing, you're getting things done, you're shopping, and you're listening to a great book. Yeah. So this is just good information to know that people are out there listening. And when you say, oh, people are being lazy, they don't even sit down and read a book, that's not necessarily true, right? Because you are putting your audiobook out there for people to enjoy it in all these different capacities of when they can listen to the story that you want to tell, that you want them to hear. So it's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. Again, narrating your own audiobook is really, really, really important. Now, I had a show podcast not too long ago where we talked about legacy. And legacy, I feel, is such an important thing, especially nowadays. I'm working with an author right now. She's doing her audiobook. And I think I mentioned this before about the reason why, core reasons why people write their book in the first place. And always being tapped into that core reason because you need to, right? You need to, because when you do your audiobook narration, that delivery, that narration that you ultimately talk about, that authenticity that comes out happens when you are tapped into your core reason of your purpose, why you wrote that book. And most of the time, it's because they want to help others. They want to share their story, especially if it's a memoir. They want to share their personal story because maybe there's someone who reads their book or even hears their audiobook and it resonates with them. And it's like, wow, I had a similar experience and I can really relate to that. And then this book is really helping me deal with maybe it's a traumatic experience. That's a great thing. And being able to help people and wanting to help people as your purpose is great. That is great. But the other thing that I felt was really interesting and a very important factor with the author that I'm working with right now, one of her things, aside from, again, the story that she's sharing, is something that if someone reads her book, they'll definitely be able to help others. But it's not just about that. It's about leaving a legacy. She wants to leave a legacy in her own voice, sharing her story, her background, so that her children and her children's children can hear her from the source tell her story and enjoy her story because she is living it. She is living it and she is sharing it. And that really is the best way to leave your legacy. I believe that we all need to leave an imprint in this world. We need to leave an imprint in this world of something positive that you can have the world discover, have people discover for generations to come. An audiobook does that. An audiobook allows you to tell your story in your own voice the way it's meant to be heard. And that is such a great, great thing. All right. You want to leave your legacy. I talked about this when I was talking about the episode that I did on this show about legacy, and how sometimes when you think about death and you're no longer on the planet, and you think, wow, was everything that I did meaningless? Did everything that I do in my entire life, is anybody even going to remember? Did I really make an impact? And it's funny, it reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, that movie they show every Christmas time, right, with Jimmy Stewart. But think about it. We all touch lives. We all have this great gift to be able to make an impression on other people's lives. And that's really what that movie exemplifies. But what's great about narrating your own audiobook and telling your story in your own voice is that you are really solidifying your legacy in your own voice and having people hear you tell your story and your experiences. And, again, nobody can tell it better than you. Nobody. But that is what makes you so unique. That is what allows you to stand out in a crowd, is your uniqueness. Because remember, that's what makes you you. Your author brand is unique to you. And I say this all the time, my infamous catchphrase, you are the CEO of you, because you are a business as an author. That's your brand. So make some great, positive decisions for your author brand and move your brand forward. When you take your book to the next level and you're narrating it in your own voice, that is such a great decision. And don't be afraid to ask for help. All right, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need help, get it. When you wrote your book, for example, when I wrote my book and I published Lights Action You, I got a copy of it here. This is the book that I published, came out in October of 2022, made the audiobook, of course. But I just didn't say, oh, I'm going to write a book and then just try to write it on my own. No, I hired a book coach to help me. I needed help. It was worth it. It was worth the investment to create something that is 1,000 times better than if I tried to create it myself. And I put together a great team of people to help me do it. Editor, formatter, book designer, cover designer, everything, all the pieces that I needed to make this work. And also marketing strategies that my book coach taught me that helped me promote the book. Worth it, because the end product was just that much better. All right. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. We're talking about audiobooks. I am an audiobook coach and producer, which is why we focus on that. But if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to put it in the comments or give us a call. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. When we do come back, we'll take our next break. But when we do come back, I do want to talk about not cutting corners. And this is where we're going to get into about audiobook growth, and you don't want to stunt that growth. All right. Audiobook growth. Are you in? You better be. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Robert A. Lane, an audiobook coach and producer, helping nonfiction authors turn your book into an audiobook that you narrate in your own voice. Absolutely. A couple of things before I dive into issues where you don't want to cut corners. First of all, grab your free narration reference guide. Right, that's my gift to you. I have a great PDF download that gives you tools and techniques on how to do a great audiobook narration when you're recording your own audiobook. These are things that you need to know. Practical aspects of doing a great narration, the emotional side of it, being authentic and conversational, little tools and techniques that I want to share with you. You can always go to robertlanecoaching.com. That's my website. You can grab your free narration guide. It's right up at the top, right on top of the homepage. It'll just say, click to get your guide. Grab it, all right? That's for you. And of course, if you want to find out more information about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program that I teach, I'm telling you, to have a full service coaching program where you have somebody as your coach to walk with you one-on-one through the entire process, and then who is also your editor that will do all the post-production needed for your audiobook, guaranteeing that you will be published properly the first time on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. Let me know. Book a call. There's a lot of book a call buttons all over the homepage as well at robertlanecoaching.com. So check it out. And that's my personal schedule, by the way. You will talk with me. And if you enroll in the program, then you will be working with me directly. And again, just a quick 3-pillar overview: setup and preparation, which includes me sending you professional equipment. We're going to talk about that because we don't want you to cut corners. This is great stuff that I send you, not cheapy $150 mics. This is stuff that's worth, $500, but that's part of the program. And guess what? You get to keep the gear. You get to keep the equipment because that's part of it. Next phase, of course, is diving into what it takes to do a great narration, to be authentic, the art of voiceover, maybe if you want to call it, but really how to do a great narration so you are fantastic to keep that listener on the edge of their seat from opening credits to closing credits. Finally, the last phase is doing the editing, which that is what I do. It's part of the program. Cleaning up your audio, make sure it sounds great, making sure it meets the exact specifications for publication, and then I do the uploading for you so that I know that you're guaranteed to have your audiobook published by the end of the program. That's simple. So book your call, all right? robertlanecoaching.com is where it's at. Now, I mentioned about cutting corners, all right? Don't cut corners, period. You've put too much blood, sweat, and tears and effort and money and everything to write that book that you've published. Whether you just released it, maybe you're in the process of writing it, maybe you released several books years ago, you had a core reason of why you wrote that book and you didn't cut corners to write it. So why in the world would you even think about cutting corners in regards to doing the audiobook? Remember, as a nonfiction author, or as an author, you are an author brand. Fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter. You are an author brand. You got to preserve the integrity of your author brand. Don't put things out there. Don't put products out there that are going to be, a bad representation of who you are as an author. You want top quality, right? That's what business people do. That's what successful business people do. They don't skimp on quality. Yeah, there's ways to, try to save money here and there, but you do not skimp on quality. And, I just see a lot of things floating around on the internet about companies and people who are audiobook producers, et cetera, and they do all these things, supposedly, but they're doing it for real cheap. And you know what? You get what you pay for. If they're saying, you can buy, $50 mic or even $150 mic, a lot of those microphones are okay, but they're not great. They're not going to do what's best for you as an author brand, all right? So you don't want to cut corners, all right? What happens is that you end up creating subpar product. And that's not what you want to represent you. No, not at all. And the reason why I'm a big advocate for having you narrate your own audiobook is because nobody on this planet can replicate you. No one can tell your story better than you. There are a lot of other companies who do similar things about what I do. However, they all seem to always push you to use their narrators. And that's like, oh, an easy way out. That's cutting corners because that narrator can't tell your story the way that you can. There are subtleties, there are nuances about what you've gone through because it is your experience. You could have the best narrator in the world, and you know what? Technically, they'll sound great, but what's missing is your author brand. What's missing is your personality. What's missing is the way that you would talk about it, the way you experience it, the way you would express your story. That other narrator is not going to be able to tap into that, especially if it's an experience that you went through that they didn't go through. How could they even relate? A couple of examples. The author I worked with, she had a great book, and she talked about being sucked into a religious cult and the physical abuse, the mental abuse. Is another narrator going to be able to really tap into that? No. Now, of course, you could say, oh, well, they're professionals, right? Well, guess what? They are voice actors. Voice actors. Actor being the key word. So what do you want to represent your memoir, for example? An actor or authenticity? You got to go with authenticity. Like I said, I'm going to do another music analogy. You could have a guitar player who is a technician, right? They could sit there and shred and rip up all these great solos and whatever, and they sound great from a technical standpoint, but there's no heart into it. Where's the emotion into it? This is why, for me, as a rocker dude, I love great guitar players, and I like the guys who can shred if it's done with heart. But I also love guitarists like David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, because he doesn't need to be shoving 1,000 notes in each bar of music. He knows when to lay out, when to let the song breathe, and then do a phrase. And when he does it, it is coming from the heart. That's, again, what makes a great audiobook, is when it comes from the heart. So authenticity is key. You don't want a voice actor. You don't want a great technician. You want authenticity. And you do have the skills to do it. You really do. And it's just a matter of building confidence. What I teach as a coach is not just, this is your microphone. This is how you record, how you set your levels, how you hit the record button. Those are all important, but you know what? It's more to it than that. And as a coach, my responsibility to you as an author is to build your confidence, to make sure you love your voice, to make sure you appreciate this wonderful sound that comes out of your body. Because it is, and that's all part of your author brand. That's part of who you are. So we talk about these things. We talk about how to eliminate fear, breaking down any barriers that are stopping you from moving forward, from doing your audiobook, loving your voice, appreciating your voice, and again, building that confidence. That's part of it. That's a big aspect of why having a coach to guide you through the process makes all the difference in the world. You can have a program, someone offers, you just download my program and you're fine. And that's great, but you know what? You're going to have questions. You just are, because creating an audiobook is a process. You will have questions, and who are you going to ask? You already bought that person's product, right? Especially if it's like a video course and that's all they do. Now what? What if you have questions? Are they really going to be there to help you every step of the way? Because as I said, the audiobook creation process is a process, and you have to do it right. So again, not bagging on narrators, because narrators are great and they do serve a purpose, especially if you are a nonfiction writer and you have a lot of characters and dialects and that kind of thing, and you really want to bring those characters to life, then you hire a professional voiceover, a professional voice actor who can do those types of things. I've seen people say, if it's a nonfiction book, you can still do it, but you really got to understand and just really know what is it that you want to make your book come to life. All right. Again, if you've written a fiction book, but it's done as more of a narrative, definitely narrate it on your own. I had a book by Paul Shatskin. Comes to mind. I worked with his book called The Boy Who Invented Television. He's writing about Philo T. Farnsworth. He's talking about the guy who invented television back in the early 20s, I guess is when he got the patent for it. It's a great story, by the way. But the author tells the story of this person who invented television. That worked. Not that there was really a fiction story, but it wasn't his personal memoir. He was talking about somebody else, and it still worked, and it sounded great. So that's where it does come into play. We have to take another quick break. Boy, time flies. There's other things I do want to hit on in regards to things to not do that will cheapen your author brand, that will not be audiobook growth. So we're going to dive into that in just a bit, because remember, audiobook growth, are you in? Yeah, you bet you. Well, we'll just say you better believe it. You are in. I know you are. All right, so don't go away. There's a couple more things I want to share with you. And of course, I want to tell you more about the process of creating your audiobook. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Stay tuned. We got more for you.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
And welcome back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. And, well, there's something I want to say before we continue on with our topic of audiobook growth. Are you in? And that is this. Be proud. Be proud of yourself as an author. Be proud of the accomplishments that you were able to do by writing and publishing a book. Be proud of the accomplishment you are doing if you are in the process of writing your book. Be proud of the books that you've already published. That is really a great thing, because you know what? I do believe that just about anybody has a great story that they can tell, but there's a lot of people who don't take it to that level, and you have. So be proud of that. I'm proud of you. I think that's great that you've done it. I really, really believe in you and you as an author. This is why I'm such an advocate of having you narrate your own audiobook so you can tell your story in your own voice the way that you meant it to be heard. That's good. So don't cut corners, because that's what we were just talking about before the break. Again, AI, right? AI is a big thing. AI is something that is a misrepresentation of your author brand. I've seen authors who get sucked into the whole, and you may have gotten that email, I got it months ago, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing says, oh, we have a virtual narrator that can do your audiobook, which is really funny. I find that very interesting because it's all under the Amazon umbrella. But if you want it to be published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple, I'm telling you, man, the last time I checked with them is that they do not want computer AI generated voices. They want a human voice. And if they catch an AI voice, your audiobook is rejected. That was their policy. As far as I know, at least today, I'll check again, but as far as I can see, that policy is still intact. It's still in play. Nothing can beat the human voice. AI, even if you do voice cloning, there's still mispronunciations that have to be fixed. There's still things that just don't sound right. And ultimately, it's a misrepresentation of your author brand. How is that representing who you are? Where are the subtle nuances about your own personality? It's not there. It's stilted, It's not there. It's soulless. And your book and your audiobook does not deserve to be soulless, because the intangibles, that's what makes an audiobook fantastic. The emotion, the energy, your unique emotions and your unique energy. That's what sets it apart. So don't get sucked into this, AI thing, because you're cutting corners and it's a misrepresentation of your brand. And ultimately, if you're trying to palm off an AI voice or a voice clone voice and saying, oh yeah, I did all the work, you're lying to your followers and the people that follow you, and you're going to just lower the respect that they have for you as an author. Don't do it. That's just bad. Not good business. Remember, you're the CEO of you. You need to make decisions that are moving your business forward, not cheapening your brand. Okay, don't do it, especially if it's a memoir. Again, you're telling me that a computer-generated voice is going to understand the emotional experience that you went through, especially if you wrote a memoir? I don't think so. All right. Oh, and the other thing that I've seen that some producers have done. Oh, I've got this great program, and they say, oh, you can do everything yourself. All right. And they're even talking about having like editing done. What if you're not technically inclined? And I've heard people say, oh, I've cracked the audiobook code, or I've done this, or I've done that. I made it so simple. Honestly, there's no code to crack. Do the work. Create a great product. Don't cheapen your author brand. This is a representation of who you are. If you're serious about being an author, you're serious about the book that you've written, you're serious about helping people and doing it with purpose and tapping into the core reason why and sharing that with others so that you can help others, man, don't cheapen your brand. Do it right. Again, if you need help, get it. It's worth the investment, because, again, the end product will only be that much better. So if you are interested, by the way, in what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, because I'm not going to cut corners. There is no cutting corners. There's doing the work and creating a fantastic product that is a great representation of who you are. And I'd love to talk to you about it. Now, I know I've mentioned about what I do in my audiobook coaching program. I provide you with the equipment. We go through a deep dive into how to do a great narration. I do all the editing for you, do all the cleanup for you, upload your audio files for you. Even we go over marketing strategies to help you promote, because growth is key, right? And that's the great thing of doing your audiobook, is that you will grow your business, you will grow your followers, you will hit a market of people that maybe hasn't even discovered you yet by doing an audiobook, and they're going to love you, because first of all, again, love your voice. But secondly, what's more important is that they're going to be drawn to you because of your content. What is the story that you have to say? And I hear authors, who are from different parts of the world or even different parts of the country, and they have accents, and they're like, no one's going to want to hear it. Sure they are, because it's part of who you are, and part of your author brand. So love it and embrace it. So I'd love to speak with you. You will talk to me directly, book a call. I'd love to hear from you. And let's start the process. We'll start the process. You could have your audiobook recorded, narrated, and be ready for publication in 6 weeks. And do it right. And remember, I will work with you until your audiobook is published. If it takes longer than 6 weeks, that's okay. I'm not one of those coaches who says you got to fit in this timeline, because the goal is for you not to have that pressure. Focus on doing a great narration. That's it. Let me do all the heavy lifting. That's my job as a coach and producer. So book your call. All right. All right, my friends, we're going to wrap things up here for the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there's any topics that you would like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. Go to robertlanecoaching.com and shoot me a message. And again, on my website, you'll see all the things about the audiobook coaching program. And also, I am a speaker as well. So if you want me to speak at your book club or your organization or your conference or association, reach out to me, man. I would love to do it. Love to do it. And finally, when you're out and about the world, smile at a stranger, all right? Say hello to them. Give them a compliment. Because remember, that small gesture of kindness can make the world a difference in somebody's life. And all of us are life changers, so be one and be good humans. Thank you so much for tuning into the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. Again, I'm Robert A. Lane. Robert Lane Coaching has all the information about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and also as a career coach and life coach. So check it out. We'll be talking to you next time. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Thank you, my friends. You have a great week. Take care.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.